they found out the route. Some school found out the route of the headmaster's route to school, so they put a roundabout banner on his route to school. So they thought that so he thought that they were doing a good job, which I guess is great. But yeah, so things that why are roundabout banners? Why are print advertising? Why are people moving away from them? They're not trackable. They don't offer you return on investment. You don't know what your cost per acquisition is. So I very often, when I know I did a talk to Poplington, quite an impromptu talk to Poplington the other day, and Toby the head asked me, it was very much geared towards return on investment. What do we get from this? What does this, what does this give us? So this is the way to go, really. We'll talk about cost per acquisition figures, but if we can get a prospective family onto an open day or a tour for 65 to 85, £100, taking into account the back end conversion rate, let's say it's 10%, so 100 people come to a tour, okay, we sign 10 people. Well, times your cost per acquisition figure by 10, taking into account the lifetime value of the pupil, well, it makes absolute sense, in terms of a return on investment system, to scale this and use this, as in paid advertising. When I joined, I thought, well, why do governors? Because very often, as it said before, explaining the benefits to governors and bursars is very often the challenge. And I thought, well, surely they can see the return on investment. They know what it costs to acquire. They're all intelligent. They know that this is the best form of advertising. But actually, they are one step away in terms of comms from the teams. So it's like, you've got to. But I was lucky enough to present to the whole team the other day. So, and yeah, it went over well. So I think educational, it's a lot of it is about education and sort of, explaining what we're paying for, what this actually gives us, and why it's a good system to use. And if everybody else is using it, we really should be. So why Google Ads? So reaches active searchers. Everybody who uses Google, who types in Google, they are bottom of the funnel searches. So they have a high intent. So they're going there, private school near me, private school near X region, independent schools, etc. So, I know Toby from Popton, the head, sort of said, well, if I was looking for an Aston Martin because the value is so high, I would ask other people that are in the know. Okay, but then if you wanted to shop around and compare schools, who would you compare them to? So you would go to Google, you would type, okay, private school in the X area, independent schools, etc. And then essentially, if you're not there, this is something I was going to say is, I know organic presence was mentioned earlier. So if you're not currently using ads, then type in, go back to your schools, type in when you're at home, when you're back there, private school near me. Don't use your brand, don't use your school name. Where do you come up? Are you there? Do you appear? If you're not, ads put you on the top spot to steal 30 to 40% of the traffic. So if you're not there, your competitors are there. And if you type in your school name, you can see what other competitors are using your school name in their advertising. So we call that a competitor search campaign. Measurable return on investment. Okay, these are the two main types. There's obviously loads of types of campaign types, in Google that we could use. Essentially, the ones for schools really that we use hand in hand are search and display. We've normally assigned probably 85% of the budget towards search. Why? Cost per click's a lot higher, the intent's a lot higher. The CPC for display, is a fraction of the cost, about 20p probably on average. However, that is very much remarketing, audience-based, so you will get those. So if you do an active search on Google, then you'll have as we know, it's 7 touch points to sell a human. So you'll get, if it's remarketing, that's the strategy, you'll get these sort of rich images, video ads to follow you around, entice you. If you started the sign-up process to an open day, if you didn't finish it, well, we can just exclude all conversions from the audience. Have everybody that came through the journey that didn't complete, and we retarget to those. Why is it important to do that? Okay, so you've paid for all the traffic to come through on search. You paid £1, £1.20 odd per click. Now, based on your conversion rates, if they didn't convert, well, okay, you've got a lot of people you paid for traffic-wise that you've then done nothing with. So to remarket those, retarget to those, as we know, it works sometimes. If I see as we know, a pair of shoes that I was almost going to check out on, I would very often most likely complete the checkout. Obviously, we're talking about open days and tours, so it's slightly different, but we're all humans, so it's the same. Yeah. Again, this is just more details on the difference between search and display. Open day sign-ups, registrations, inquiries, personal tours. These are very much the sort of call to actions that we have in the ads. Yeah, I thought it was a question. So basically, the better you. I'll go on to that after, but it's all determining on your positions on the SERP. So, you can have poor sort of structured campaigns, and you will, rank quite poorly. But we've had schools turn off international Hong Kong campaigns because they were, double booked. We've had schools, Chigwell, for example, double the emissions year on year. We have had open days which we've reached the limit, even though we had a month to still run the campaigns for. So I must say, we are pretty good at what we do because we are so niche in terms of schools. So we have all the placement lists of all the other schools, what they use in terms of remarketing lists. I think I'm doing my other slides, so I don't want to, I'll go on to that. But, if you've got any questions, by the way, guys, please help me cut this out. Okay, so target audience. As I said, we can target users by city, region, postcode, 4-digit postcodes. Obviously, we can go international. Age perspective, so that's the age of the parents, age of the students. If they're sixth form might be searching themselves. Household income. I know, obviously the US has a lot more in terms of what we can target on that front. But so you can just see how detailed, and this is literally on the surface level of this sort of stuff. So we can go down to, what their user behavior is, what they've recently typed into Google, where have they visited, which schools have they visited recently, that, and then obviously their interests per cluster of the school. So we obviously only show relevant ads. I'll go on to that. So refining your target keywords. Now, this is the bread and butter. So obviously, whatever somebody types into Google, depending, I won't go into details, but you've got different match types. You can appear at different positions based on how close to the search you want to appear, right? So private school near me, I won't go into, so private school near me or near city, well, what you'll do is you'll catch all the other sort of slight variants of those keywords. And the idea is through regular optimizations is over time is to build out a keyword list with all the very specific cluster related keywords that are in the exact match that rank you high. I won't bore you with it, but essentially that's over time, you can expect, if we have always on campaigns, so for example, whole school tours that run throughout the year alongside the open days. So if a date doesn't work for a prospective parent where you can offer a tour, the longer we run those campaigns for, the more regular I'm on the account optimizing them, the better month on month, improvements. So CPC wise, CTR, so click-through rates, how many people that see the ad click the ad, and then your conversion rates and what it costs you to acquire those conversions. Because, at the end of the day, we and governors are here for a return on investment, and you wouldn't pay for a management service and sort of campaign management unless it was providing you, pretty strong return on investment. So using customer intent audiences. So what we can do is, we can build lists of people that, visit certain sites like Good Schools Guide, or Muddy Stilettos, or, you guys can imagine, or luxury travel, etc. And we just have a long placement list that retargets to those people most likely or have visited those lists, and we retarget to those people. So basically, it's not a shotgun approach. It's very targeted. So we have about probably 300 placements that we use, that we constantly add to. Crafting ads that drive clicks. So relevance is key. We know if we type into Google, private school near me, or open days, or independent schools near X, I want to see that in the headlines. So we want to pin those headlines. The more relevant, so just so you understand, we have the search, we have the ad, and we have the landing page, okay? Now, the search, i.e. the keyword, has to be in a good match type, has to be relevant to the ad, which has to have a compelling ad copy to generate a high click-through rate. The higher your click-through rate, i.e. the higher the people that click your ad versus those impressions that see your ad, the lower your cost per click is going to be, which means the lower your cost per acquisition is going to be, which means you can acquire more conversions from the existing budget, which is if we're getting you month on month improvements and year on year, you could expect to keep your marketing budget the same this year as next year without, if I could add asterisks or, somewhere, you can expect improved results from the existing budget. Highlight USPs. Yeah, a lot of talks have done this today. USPs, academic excellence, emphasis, so pastoral care for younger students. Equestrian centres or anything you think cluster related, USPs of your school. We could put in these campaigns and these ad groups that are very, very relevant. IB, international bachelorettes, for example, are very, very popular. It's just about basically what we do is we take your marketing budget, we then look at all of your open events that you have throughout the year. We then assign, according to weighted budgets, according to peak periods that I'll go into after, budgets, daily budgets, and then we say, right, okay, well, which areas of the school do we need admissions in? Okay, it's sixth form, Cameron. For the next 6 months, it's sixth form. Okay, so we'll do a sixth form campaign, which is very, very targeted, nothing else. And then what we'll do outside of those open days, we'll run tours specific to any area of the school that you need numbers in, basically. And as I say, we've had to turn campaigns off before. So consider language that evokes feelings. Yeah, emotive language. We're talking to humans and we know, we're selling humans, essentially. So learn more is not a compelling CTA. So we very much pulled away from brand awareness pieces about, 2 years ago. I've been with the company 3 years. And when I joined, brand awareness was very much, the thing everyone was interested in. But actually, if we look at the return on investment figures and what we're spending, so basically, brand awareness, what do I mean? So if we were pushing educational pieces, or if people were searching for very broad terms without specifically referencing, so it could be why is an independent school good for my child, etc., etc. So what we've done is basically taken them from the ad directly to the landing page with a call to action. So then what we do is we would fill in this landing page with enough blurb information so that they don't have to pick up the phone or email the registrar. They can just fill out the form and come to the open day, essentially. So they've gone from the ad click to the landing page, and we'll have then a conversion rate percentage on the landing page. So this is why the cost per acquisition figure, we have 34 schools, so it definitely varies. And they're all, international, but I would say on average, £45 to £100 you can expect a prospective family to come to an open day or a tour. And that's taken into account, obviously. So yeah, I'll touch on landing pages after, but essentially, the best keyword with the best ad, and it's up to us to drive the most relevant traffic to the landing page, but it's the landing page that converts the traffic. And so landing page optimization, CRO, conversion rate optimization, is often not really discussed, but it's, they say, okay, well, this is our tours page. Well, okay, so we've sent 1,000 people here in the last week, and they haven't, this is a poor conversion rate. Why is that? And we need to start looking at the pages and sort of, making them the best they can be, essentially, which should be on the forefront of people's minds that work in the schools, because, better return on investment. So personalizing ad copy, as I said, so for younger children, it might be nurturing environment. For older children, it might be, university preparation. STEM, IB programs, as I said before, whatever you'd like to put, whatever your USPs are that are relevant to the cluster. Okay, so as I said, optimizing landing pages. Now, what are the biggest things? So above the fold, so what do we see first? If it's a tours page, if it's an open day page, I personally want to see the grounds of the school. I want to see a prospective family or parents, in action on the day, actually going around. So I want to see what I'm expecting to encounter when I get to the school. I don't want a long black and white blurb about, I want to know, so I don't have to pick up the phone. What does the day entail? Who am I going to meet? Am I seeing the school in action? Basically, everything's, yeah. And then obviously you've got the actual landing page design. So long forms have been such an issue. So people very often, they see a form, they very often don't want to spend the time to fill it in. So shorter forms collecting only the essential information, with call to actions above the fold, multiple times throughout the page, i.e. a call to action is, if you're pushing a tour, you're pushing an open event, sign up now, etc. You've got all the everything should be going through to the form, embedded forms that we can track afterwards, that gives you your return investment figure, so you know what it cost you to acquire a form fill, essentially. As I mentioned, remarketing, but it's a really good ancillary service. So we run search, we run remarketing at the same time. So you could do this with Google, but obviously you could do it with Facebook as well. If you guys run Facebook, I would suggest you run your Google campaign, you have remarketing audiences in your Facebook campaigns, and you run them at the same time as a backup on another platform, because obviously people during the day might have done an active search on Google, and when they're at home, it might be on Facebook to re-engage back to start the application process again. Application starters, again, as I said, we can remove all non-converters all converters. To keep things efficient. And why is this? Because we've paid for the traffic already, so we might as well re-engage them. So it's more efficient. Planning seasonal campaigns, as I said before, what we do is we take an overall marketing budget, we then assign it to the months, days, weeks that you're either areas of the school, so cost of the school you need admissions in, or if it's a specific open day, which we know September is normally a big one, that we need to apply most of the budget for. We normally run 8 to 6 weeks out from an open day, and then whole school tours always running. But 6 to 8 weeks, and even on the day, we've found, having the open day campaign still running on the actual day, we've seen good numbers because of that. So create urgency, offer options. This is what I was saying earlier about if you've paid for the traffic to come to the open day landing page, and the date doesn't suit the prospective family, offer them a tour, offer them another button on the side that says book a tour here, arrange a visit, personal tour with the head, etc., or however you do it. Because then you've paid for the traffic, so you're increasing your on-page conversion rates, essentially. Google Ads, conversion tracking and optimization. It's not my favorite part of the job, but it's obviously essential. So without this, we wouldn't know, without tracking, you wouldn't know what it costs you to acquire, and therefore you are in the dark as much as you are with print or roundabout or radio, for example. So what we do is there's various ways of doing it, but obviously Google Tag Manager. We then have let's say a thank you page that they load after the form fill, or it could be a call, an email to the registrar. So we know that we are not expecting the admissions team to know or to decipher which inquiries came from which platform. As we know, a lot of people ask on forums, where did you hear about us? I mean, who actually remembers to even ask, or they just want to fill in the form and get it done with. So they don't really mind what they say because it's not important to the prospective parent. But with tracking, we can see everything. We can see everything from the first click to the very end. We know exactly what it costs. And if you're a UBIT customer as well, obviously with what Maddie was talking about with the DXP, we can actually tell you the emails, the names of everybody that has signed up on the forms. And then you can track their entire journey, so it's really interesting to see. So then you can optimize and tailor campaigns accordingly. So optimize return investment. So you have literally what it costs you to acquire a family for an open day or a tour. And then if it's profitable for you, taking into account back-end conversion rates, you just scale the account based on search volume. So obviously within your location, let's say you do a 40K radius of your school for boarders, or it might be, a bit more for senior, or less for nursery, for example. Well, then in your locations, you have a max search volume. So there's only so many people searching for private independent schools in your areas. So, basically you want to acquire 100% of the impression share. So the whole point of, iterations a month. You just want to appear on as much searches as possible within the area. A/B testing for success. So we can, so we can obviously, what we do is we build the campaigns and then we upload the content for whoever's in the school to approve the content. Well, that's great, but how do we know that that content is the best it can be? We can pin different headlines and we can A/B test headlines and descriptions, but really, we're only testing 2 variations. So there is something within the ad account that does allow you to. Basically, what it does is there's 15 headlines, 4 descriptions. It changed about a year ago. They're called responsive search ads. You take 15 headlines, 4 descriptions, and it alternates. The AI basically alternates the combinations to know what performs best, and then it runs with your best performing. But then, obviously, in the background, in terms of relevant ad copy that is relevant to the parents now and seasonal. They go hand in hand, but test, essentially. Experiment with landing pages. I would always suggest if you guys have an open day or a tours page currently, I wouldn't suggest, so in terms of tracking, I wouldn't always suggest a separate landing page. I would say optimize what you've currently got. Make sure that there's lots of options on it in terms of, when the prospective families land, because if you paid for that traffic, that is. And then, work with what you've got, I think, essentially. So any questions? If you'd like an audit or, more information, just scan the QR code or come speak to myself or Maddie.
Thank you, Cameron. We have got a couple of questions currently online.
Perfect.
Great. So, Claire Whitlock has asked, would you always use display ads for retargeting?
Yes. So display ads for retargeting, I would do that in Facebook and Google. So you can have placement lists for search, but the thing is, the short answer is yes. So what you want to do is, per cluster of the school, you want to take the URL, build a remarketing list in the ads account. I should be looking at here, shouldn't I? Not at you. So basically take the URL of the cluster of the school. You go into the audience manager, you build the remarketing lists of each cluster of the school. You have to wait for it to populate to 1,000 people, but you'll do that over a few weeks. And then essentially assign that audience to your display campaign. Why a display campaign? Because you've got the rich imagery, you've got the call to action that they initially, so the page and the keywords they initially typed in, so you know what they were after. You can basically show them the most bespoke and relevant ad with video, HTML5, images, etc. So it's one of the cheapest, because obviously it's a fraction of the cost of search. It's not as cheap as Facebook, but for about 20 pence, you can get a remarketing click from a display ad, essentially.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kim has asked, is running more than one campaign at the same time a bad idea?
So it's not, as long as your keywords are not conflicting in your locations. So let's say, for example, we had a sixth form open day, but I also had my whole school tours running, which has a sixth form cluster within it, in other words, a set of sixth form keywords, then yes, I'm competing against myself because those locations are the same. So you can have, we often have schools with 20 campaigns running. We've got a school, Hortlack in Switzerland. We have probably about 18 to 20 campaigns running in 2 different languages across 4 different campaign types. So as long as you think about the end, what you're actually doing in terms of competition, because obviously if you're competing in the same locations for the same keywords, you're increasing your own cost per click. And then you're actually reducing your own cost per acquisition because you're reducing your own positions on the SERP, essentially. So the answer is you can, as long as your keywords are targeting different things, essentially. Love it. No, there's more. Yeah, great. Yeah, 2 more.
With the last 2.
Yeah, flying it. So Natalie from Nicholas School has asked, how effective do you find competitive campaigns across the schools you work with?
It depends. Okay, so this is a very, we all often get two answers with this. So a competitor campaign, if you guys don't know, I briefly explained it. So, if I would literally take all the competitor school names in your catchment or an area that you want to advertise in, direct competitors, obviously. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to show an ad without representing yourself as that other school. You're going to show an ad of your school when somebody types in your competitor name. Now, there's a couple of things. Some people like the idea and some people don't because it's a guerrilla style marketing. However, if you're not representing yourself as the other school, so my line manager had a really good thing that I had never seen this before. So, for example, let's say you typed in a competitor name. I would have an ad or headline. It could be researching X name, whatever you put in, question mark. We're not representing ourselves as that school, but what we are doing is with the other content and headlines, we are offering a nice alternative for the search. So we get two different answers. Some love it because, as we know, 30 to 40% of the traffic is stolen by the ads because your organic link is so far down the page, and unless you do rank for, you're not going to rank for competitor school names, obviously. So to answer your question, a lot love it, some don't. So we have stopped it because some people think it's a career start. I know Chris wasn't. Yeah, so Chris wasn't completely on. Exactly, yeah. So we know it works, but we also got to respect client and how you appear with prospective parents when they see your school as well. Yeah, personally, I like it because it offers a return on investment. But yeah.
One last question.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is a popular one. Do you recommend all year pay-per-click, open day ads, or a combination of both?
All of them, because if you are not ever appearing on Google, one of your competitors are, and we work with 30 odd schools. I've been doing it 3 years. I don't know a school that doesn't have competition in their local area. So essentially, we want a mix. So what we do is we take the academic year between September to at the end of August. We would have your quieter months being whole school tours. Hopefully, you guys offer whole school tours throughout the whole year. If you don't, what a fantastic way to sell prospective parents on the day with your grounds and your teacher, etc. In person, obviously, is the easiest sell. So we would have a 6 to 8 week campaign prior to any major open event or open day, but then whole school tours should be running throughout the whole year. Because there's even throughout Christmas, we ask clients, would you like to switch your ads off? Well, from a cost saving perspective, yes. Well, but if your competitors are turning them off, I personally would like to keep yours on, so we can, basically benefit from the reduced cost per click, and then, So to answer a question in a very long way, yes, a combination. Yeah.
Thank you, Cameron. I think we can all give Cameron a round of applause.